Kiddos, we're back for another episode of Workshop This. Hi, I'm Robin McClendon and welcome to my studio. Last week I showed you the difference between working with paintbrush versus brayer. I thought let's continue with working with some unusual tools on the Gelli Plate just to expand the vocabulary of marks that you can make with the plate. It's a lot of fun, and sometimes when you get the plate, you think you have to get the plate, the brayer, the this, the that. And, you don't always have to. You can just kind of jump in and play with the things that you have. And also just think outside of the box with the type of tools that you can use to apply paint on the Gelli Plate. So let's start with a key card, old credit card. Any of these things work beautifully on the plate. So we can start off by... let's put some black paint down and let's just work with just spreading the paint out with the card. It's kind of brayer-like. The difference is that you get a little bit of movement, or sort of like because of the surface of the card, kind of get movement on the plate, which is kind of cool. And you can just kind of keep on playing with it until you get your surface looking the way you want. And you also get these kind of strokes, like you've laid, like you see the lines of having laid the paint down. I like that. So let's go ahead and just pick this up. I'm gonna use tissue paper. I use tissue paper a lot because I like to use a lot of this type of stuff back in my collages, my large scale paintings. I will use my Gelli prints in a lot of different ways. So to be able to have it on something tissue thin that glues to the surface nicely and gives me a lot of ability to layer, I use that a lot. That's the other reason why I like the glassine, because the glassine really adheres nicely to canvas, to board, to panel, lots of different things. So here we're going to be picking up even extra stuff that's on the plate. So I got a nice image here. I like that, where I've sort of gotten this framing and I have things missing there, which is really cool. It just kind of gives it a nice kind of, look there. So now let's go from that and let's grab some palette knives. These are Tim Holtz's. I'll make sure you have links for everything. And a number of them come in the set there, and they're nice and flexible. So let's go ahead and put let's put some white. I'm gonna put dots just so we can kind of create a pattern. Alrighty. So then we just kind of want to use the palette knife to create some shapes. And now let's pick that up. You can use your centering tool, or you can just lay it down. Depends on what you're doing with it and what you want to see happen. So we'll just get this really cool, we're just picking up these lines. And you can see just how rich and different that line is. And then we can also take the palette knife, just put a little bit of paint right on the palette. And because, things are left behind, you can kind of see what you're doing. So we can actually, just kind of create the mark, continue the mark making, kind of create these patterns. Okay, and then we can go and lay this down again. And we're just doing rough, line up, but you could, we always have our handy placement tool. So if you're doing something where you really want it to be tight, use the placement tool. But a lot of times I'll work loose just to kind of see where things will fall. so that like I got some overlapping, you know, so things are kind of roughly in a pattern, but not exactly. So this is a great way just to make a loads of paper that can be just mark making, right? You know, it's just, or it could be a background to continue to build up a Gelli Plate print. So now I have this extra on here. Let's just go ahead and pull it, get that paint off, and then okay. So now let's just put, let's just pull a print. This is a good time. It's a lot of stuff on the plate. So let's just put the quinacridone down. Is it going to come out or what? Oh, it's a little stuck there. I see. Okay. So let's use our card. It still has some black on it, so we'll get a mixture, which is kind of cool. So we're just going to kind of put this down since there's so much stuff on here, and we can pull another print. Let's get a little bit more down. So it kind of gives this idea of this two-tone. So just get a nice coverage. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm just going to grab this piece that already had the marks on it. Why not? Put it back down so that we'll see some of that through. And you could just go on and on like this. My goodness, you could just make tons of papers that you can use as your own collage papers. You know how we like to do that. I'm going to pick this up, and boy, we're going to get a nice pull. Some very interesting paper, some marks that really picked up from what was underneath there. And I really see how you get this mixing of color that looks a lot more like printmaking, like on a traditional sort of printmaking or silk screening, because you kind of pull like that when you work. Now let's have a little more fun. Let's go ahead and we'll do the dots. We'll pull dots to kind of create a similar thing with the black in between. Just having a bit of fun here. Same thing. Let's take the card and okay, so let's put that down. This gives us some opportunities to just make some unique patterns and just see what we end up with. You could literally just let this be the pattern itself. Like just this becomes paper for mark making. So I want you to think about the plate in so many different ways. Like, you know, it's not always about making a finished piece of something on the plate where, you know, we could just keep on pulling patterns. Look at that. That's just really good. So I'm going to keep that like that because I like that. I could see using this as a piece for collaging. And now let's do one more. Let's do where I kind of put the black down and then I put the white. And let's use the card to clean some of this off to sort of do our two-tone. And since we have a lot of color underneath here, we are going to, should have a pretty cool print. So kind of another approach to working with the pattern like that. And then this could just be a background to continue working on. So I think we're done. We're done. I'm gonna grab my gold, and let's go back to using the palette knife. Let's get ourselves a nice dramatic circle on here. I really like using the card technique because I think you just get this really interesting background pattern that you can't really accomplish with the brayer. And it leaves a lot. I like these empty places because those become places where you can, you know, collage other elements into them. It's almost like looking at this and letting it sort of dictate placement of maybe collaging on top or whatever. Let's just take and put some gold down. What I normally will do is I'll do like a dot pattern in, so I want to do a circle. So kind of like the way I want to do it. And then using just really the flat part of this. You can get something pretty dramatic. Just kind of stop when you see you like what you have. Okay. We'll put this back down and we'll pick this up on top. And that pattern could have been anything. Could have been lines, dots, whatever. But I just kind of want to show you how you can really use your palette knife in the traditional way for creating flowers or vases or landscapes. Any ways that you may already be traditionally working with your palette knife or painting, you can do this on the Gelli Plate. Everything on the Gelli Plate is not just about the brayer. It really is a mixed media tool, this Gelli Plate. And that in that regard, it takes a lot of different other type of techniques and styles can really be accomplished on this plate. Wow, I love it. That's just amazing. And just a wonderful place to begin. So just this quickly, in 10 minutes, basically, we made some nice background patterns, you know, things that you can use in mark making. And we're just getting started and the plate is just warming up. 10 minutes later, you've already kind of gotten yourself into a session just using an old key card and some palette knives or literally anything else that you can think of that will make marks on this plate. So until next time, you know, have a lot of fun in your studio. Always comment below the video. Thumb the video up if you like this. Also, if you're new to my channel and just stumbling across this Wednesday session of Workshop This, please subscribe and hit the bell so, you know, you can get all the notifications. And yeah, anything that you would like for me to cover in this series, please put that in the comment section as well. And until next week, happy creating and so much love from my studio to yours. Take care.